The agenda is acceptance of a multi-year lease for vehicles and equipment. This is on the agenda as an item for the city manager, and I believe we have Mary Walter who will be joining him. Mr. Morris.
Yes, as written here, this is authorization from the council for a multi-year lease for Public Works and Parks Department vehicles in an amount not to exceed $459,000 as appropriated in the 2021 budget. And I can turn it over to Mary Walters to give a little more detail if she'd like.
Yeah, we did put it out for bid, and we got back 2 proposals, and we did take the lower cost proposal, and we are ready. This is a bid that is good through, we have to close on it by September 30th.
Okay, so it closes next week. We have 1 week to go. Are there questions anyone would have for Mrs. Walter regarding this motion for multi-year lease? I do notice that it has the termination clause in the event of non-appropriation, so that we aren't stuck with something because of insufficient funds or whatever may be the case. That was the case with both bids received, Mary?
Yes, we do require that on all of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the percentage was 2.94% on it.
That's a very good percent. Questions from any member of the council? Yes, Councilor Sweetser.
Do we usually lease all these vehicles and equipment? Is that the norm instead of buying them outright?
We have leased for probably 18 of the 20 years that I've been here, almost 20 years. But there was a long time that they weren't replacing any vehicles, and they were holding them together with bungee cords. So we do lease. The rates are low. There is at some point when the rates start going up, we should be putting money aside in the capital so that we can actually purchase them. But right now the rates are really low, and our tax rate has been, pretty high, and we have other things we want to spend it on. So leasing is the best option right now, still.
Okay. Any follow-up, Councilor Sweetser?
No, thank you.
All right. Councilor O'Hearn.
I don't have a problem with the lease, but my only question is, because we've appropriated the money in the budget, but we're now going to expend it, and we're accepting a lease or a contract. We normally wouldn't have a public hearing on that.
We don't need to have a public hearing. The budget's already been passed. This money is appropriated. We pay the first year with the lease payment, so that year is already appropriated in the budget.
Yeah, in this, you're authorizing us to enter into a multi-year contract. That's what the decision is.
Mm-hmm. Further questions from anyone on the council? Councilor Sweetser.
Where did the $459,000 come from? Was that like a city number? Where did it come from?
I can answer that. During the budget season, the directors look at what they need to have replaced for equipment, and they give us an estimate on what it's going to cost. We have not actually gone out to bid for those vehicles yet. I base the request for the lease program on how much that total adds up to, and then it gets divided among which departments are actually buying the equipment over the 8 years, and that determines what their share of that payment will be.
Okay, follow-up, Councilor Sweetser.
No, thank you.
Okay, Councilor O'Hearn.
How many vehicles are being replaced in this lease for highway and parks?
I'm not in the same place. I'm at home, and I can't get into the lease agreement from here. But if you can hang on a minute, you just won't see me for a minute, because I'm going to stop the video so I can get into another screen.
Okay, I don't see you now, so.
Well, okay. while we're waiting for Mrs. Walter to come back to us, anything further from any member of the council? For Councilor Sweetser, it's tempting when a community or a school district owns its vehicles. It's awfully tempting when it comes to budget time, look at those vehicles and say, gee, I think we can get another year, maybe 2 out of them. And that happens year after year until finally you have a major problem. And that's the reason we're leasing. Or one of the reasons, I should say. We're just waiting for Mrs. Walter to come back to us. Any further questions from any member of the council? I don't see any. I'm looking at Mrs. Walter. I don't know how far along she is in the process.
Oh, I'm trying to find the original bid that I sent out, which has the attachment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my home computer, and it's harder to get into the city's computer from my home computer.
Okay.
If you want to go on to something else and hold this for a minute, you can, it's fine, but
Well, we can hold it for a minute, but bear in mind, I think we have a September 30th date to either accept or not accept. That's,
correct.
yeah, okay. It would be beneficial to get the answers to those questions this evening. All right, let's go ahead and bypass this. We'll move ahead with agenda item F, which is a resolution 2021-18 for the rail trail project. This also is scheduled for a public hearing and is placed on the agenda by the city manager. City Manager Morris.